making the video.
Oh, you just feel awkward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't know what to do with my hands.
Hi, Wanderers. Welcome to our monthly Q&A.
So we're going to be compiling a list of questions that we get throughout the month, and then we're going to make a video answering your questions.
So first question for this one is, what have been some of your best experiences while traveling?
My number one favorite travel experience was in 2017. We went to France. We took my parents. They had flown over to Spain to visit us. That's where we were living. And we took my parents to France, and specifically going on the beaches at Normandy. We were at a scout event and we stayed there, and just being able to spend as much time as we wanted to walking up and down the beaches and being there with my daddy was great for me. The bad part about that is that my mother was super sick at the beginning of the trip, and so she didn't really get to enjoy the beach very much. She kind of stayed in our little cabin thing because she really was really sick. But she got better, and the next day we got to go to Paris, and I got to show them the Eiffel Tower and see it, and it was just really good to experience all of the travel stuff that we usually do, but get to bring my parents with us. That was really great.
I think my favorite was, again, we were living in Spain and we went to Dublin. I went and ran a half marathon, a rock and roll half marathon in Dublin. And so we got to spend a week there in Dublin, which was awesome. So we visited the Guinness factory. We took the bus tour that goes all around and shows you all the sites there in Dublin. We also rented a car and drove in the countryside. So it was very cool.
We lost our GPS. Because we took it and put it in the rental car.
We lost it somewhere on that trip, but that's okay. We have phones now, so we don't need a GPS.
That's all right.
My favorite part of that trip was the afternoon after running the half marathon. We went to the oldest pub in Ireland, the Ram's Head, I believe was the name of it, and had a Dublin Porter, the best beer I've ever tasted.
Okay, so question number 2 says, what are the worst travel experiences you've ever had?
I'm probably going to have to go with, so we're military, so we have the opportunity sometimes to travel what's called space available, which is to be able to, if there's a cargo plane going out that's got passenger room, if they've got space and they make it down to where you are on the list, you can fly almost for free. You have to usually either buy a meal or something like that. It's pretty simple. But coming back from Arkansas one time, and I was alone. Our plane was so late, and we landed at the time roll call was starting for the plane I needed to make it back to Turkey, and we landed, I am pretty sure, on the other side of the city. It was so far. And it was only by the grace of God and an extremely awesome staff sergeant that was able to get me on to the plane to make it to Turkey and not have to spend a night just trying to figure out what I was doing. But just the sheer terror and just frustration of I can see where I'm supposed to be, but I can't get there, and it may cause me to miss the flight that I'm trying to catch. It's probably one of the worst things.
So I thought you were going to tell the same story that I'm going to tell about my worst travel experience, and it was being in Germany in February with 2 little kids. They were 5 and 3, I think, maybe at that point, somewhere around there. And it was snowing because it's February in Germany, and we were living in Turkey where there was not any snow, so we had no winter stuff with us. And I had to get me and the boys on the train from Ramstein, or what's the city outside?
Kaiserslautern.
From Kaiserslautern to Munich. München in German. So that's another thing, like the words, the names of them, like you expect the language to be different, but like the cities are still named the same thing in most countries, but not in Germany. Anyway, so we're trying to get to the train station in Munich. Ron is in the States and he's flying over to meet us at the train station. We have no cell phones. And so our only communication was calling back to the States at like phones that we could find, putting in all these codes on this little card to call back to my parents. It was the middle of the night back in Arkansas, and they were kind of relaying this information to both of us as we were making our way up to Munich to the train station to meet each other. The information that we were given was that the airport is at the train station. So that was our plan, was he was going to land, we were going to ride up from Kaiserslautern to the Munich train station / airport, and we would meet each other. So we got super prepared. I went and looked at the map of the train station online. I told him where the McDonald's was, and I was like, we will meet you at this McDonald's. So a long story for another time if anybody cares to hear, but there are more than one train station in Munich, and he was at the airport / train station. We were at the main train station, and they're not at the same place. So hours and hours and...
They're a single subway stop away though.
Right. Hours and hours and many phone calls and much stress for me with the 2 little children. We finally got together and got the last train out that we were getting to go to Geilenkirchen. So it was very, very chaotic and hectic for me. I had a child that was potty training and finding bathrooms and everything else that goes along with just being in a foreign country and kind of lost, but kind of not lost, and having no way to communicate.
And I also think that was our first trip.
Yeah,
like that.
I think it was too, especially with so many moving parts. And if I were to do that right now, I would have a lot less stress. Number one, I know how to do trains. I know how to do subways. I know how to do all of those things now. So that would be much less stressful. But I think it was the first time that we were taking a train ride. I was taking a train ride with the kids. I was so worried about getting them and the bags onto a train without the doors closing and me either losing a kid or a bag. So that was an issue for us, but that ended up, that one day or that one time was my worst travel experience, I think, yes.
What's the next trip we're planning?
Yeah, we are, I don't know if she meant big trips or little trips, and I guess it doesn't really matter, but the next trip that we're planning that involves us leaving our house and going somewhere overnight is to Montana. The first week in July. So just in a couple of weeks, we're gonna go and visit my family members. I have a cousin that lives in Montana, and so we're gonna go up there. We're gonna stay with her, and because we're so close, we're gonna drive up to Glacier National Park for a day. She's never been either, so we're gonna go with her and drive up, and I'm gonna get a stamp in my stamp book. And then we're going to see what there is to see at Glacier, and then we're going to come back home. So I think we're only going to be gone for a few days, but that's our next trip that we have that we're planning right now. Okay, the same person also asked, do we have a wish list for trips that we want to take?
Yes, one is based on another video that you can find on our channel, which is Amanda's passport sticker book.
Yeah, it'll be coming out this week. When this video comes out, that video is coming out later this week. So
check that out. But basically, if there's a place that she just said to get a stamp, then we're gonna go there somehow. But beyond that, it's just what are the things that interest us. Being a military family, when we move to a new place, is trying to explore everything that's close by around there, because we don't know if we'll be back in that area. For any extended period of time.
Right. What we learned in Colorado, that was our first assignment, is that we can be moved very quickly and without much warning. And I mean, we were there for a while, in military terms, a while, but we didn't go see very many things. Like, I just thought, well, we'll have time to do that, and we'll have time to go do that and that, all these different things. And then all of a sudden we got the phone call that was like, you have 2 months to leave. And we were like, what? And so there were just so many things around the Colorado Springs area that we didn't get to see that we really wanted to see. So as soon as we got to our next assignment, we were like, oh, we're making a list of everything that's within driving distance, and we're making sure we go see those things. So it really just depends on location. But I do want to get all the stamps in my book, so that's my...
Well, and for me, and it usually coincides pretty well, is I like to run half marathons. And a lot of those are kind of like destination type races that you can incorporate something else into. When we were overseas with our last assignment in Spain, we did 3 different trips to coincide with a race. So it was motivational for me. We had a good time, but I think we did Lisbon, Dublin, and I did Madrid, but you guys were gone.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So that's the motivating for me is looking for neat places to be able to run. I have a couple maps that I put pins in when I run in unique places. So it's my version of her little passport book where I get to stick a pin where I've run a race. And so that's part of what motivates it for me for why I want to travel and what we want to do.
Okay, so our last question for this session.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to paraphrase it. It's a long question, but
Jeff asked if in the course of our traveling, if we run into a place where we're like, wow, this would be cool to live here, would it persuade us to relocate?
So right now, the answer is no, because we don't get to decide where we live right now. We just go wherever the military tells us to go. So right now, the answer is just no. However, before we knew what we wanted to do in retirement, we were like making a list of places. Like, do we want to go back to Arkansas? We're both from Arkansas. Do we want to go back there when we retire? Are there other places that we've been to visit that we're like, we could live here? And up to this point, the top of our list was West Virginia, right? Harper's Ferry was like beautiful. I mean, it's the best place so far in the United States. We don't want to live permanently overseas because we want to be close to our kids. So that was our best place here, stateside, that we really loved. As far as like, I mean, it feels like you're out in nature, just being in Harper's Ferry, and it's right there on the AT. And that is super, that's another one of our like bucket list things is to hike the AT. So, but now what have we decided to do for retirement?
We're just going to drive around in an RV somewhere. So we've decided that she and I both, I think, part of it is, I think we were kind of wired this way and just didn't know it until we hit the military, that we're always looking, I don't know that we could be in any one place for too long. And so the idea for us now as we're getting to the stage of life that we're in is that what we want to do when we're done is just get a big RV and then just go from park to park and see things to just experience what's out there and fill up the passport book, check every state off again for those that we've already been to, stay in different places, and maybe be a camp host at something, or those sort of things, but just be transient. It really is what we want to do.
That is all the questions that we're going to answer tonight. We don't want it to be super long. So if you have any travel related questions about us, if you want to hear the story about what happened in Germany during that worst travel experience, then just let us know. You can comment below. You can go to Instagram or Facebook. You can send us an email. Everything is down in the description box below.
Make sure and follow us on Instagram, though. We post a lot there with our trips and with our stories. Like, comment, subscribe here. We'd love for you to be a part of our family and be one of our wanderers. So you guys have a great day. Yeah,
so, okay. I didn't think about actually answering